All right. Well, howdy, folks. Okay, so here is our lesson on worksheet 9-8. And all of chapter 9 has been about circles. And so what we're going to talk about in our very last lesson is, okay, well, let's put circles in the context of an X and a y-axis, and let's talk about what would the equation of a circle look like. And so a couple things that matter is, it would matter where the center was. So if the center was at 1, 1, that would obviously matter in the equation of a circle. And then also, sort of the length of the radius would matter. Now, right now, in this picture, we don't know the length of the radius. But if we did know a point that was on the circle, then we might be able to use that point along with the center point to figure out the length of the radius. So let's see here. How can we find the radius? Well, don't we have a formula for how to find the distance between 2 points? So let's see. The distance between the point 1, 1 and the point 4, 5. Well, let's think about the pieces that matter. This right here, change in x is 3, and then let's see here, change in y is 4. And so I know that the distance is the square root of the change in x squared, so 3 squared, plus the change in y squared, so 4 squared. And let's see here, that would mean that the distance is the square root of 9 plus 16. And so that is the square root of 25. Oh, yay! 5. It worked out nice and easy. So now we just figured out that the radius is equal to 5. Okay, so if we wanted to actually write the equation of a circle, then the things that matter are the distance formula and also the center. And that's kind of what I said on the previous page. So using those two things, what we could do is kind of get the equation of our circle. The equation of our circle is going to look something like this. We are going to have x plus or minus h squared plus y plus or minus h squared equals the radius squared. That is our general equation for a circle. And so what we end up doing is we end up filling in a number for this and I should have a K right there. All right, end up filling a number for H and filling in a number for K. And then we end up filling in a number for R squared. And the X and the Y stay in the equation. So this, stays X. And this right here stays Y. And so then that is sort of the equation of our circle. And here it is again, all written out, where the radius squared is equal to x minus h quantity squared plus y minus k quantity squared. And so let's take this first example and let's fill in the parts and the pieces so that we can get our formal equation of a circle. So if we're going to write the equation of a circle with the center at this, all right. As soon as we know where the center is, that's going to tell us what h and k are. So h is equal to -2, and k is equal to 3. So h is kind of always an x thing. Notice h comes before k in the alphabet, x comes before y in the alphabet. So h always goes with x, k always goes with y. All right, so there's our two pieces. So let's see here. We could put that into our equation, and it would look like this. X minus a -2 quantity squared plus y minus a 3 quantity squared, and that would equal, we have a radius of 5, so that would equal 25. All right, so let's just simplify this a little bit. We've got a 25. There's nothing I can do to simplify that. But this I can simplify. That would just be x plus 2 quantity squared. And then this, there's nothing really to change about that. And we are done. Now, one thing I want you to take note of was that whole double negative situation. I want you to notice that these two numbers here, look at and see how they compare to the numbers up here. Aren't they exact opposites? Like up here, it said that the center was at -2, but in the equation, it works out to be +2. And that's always going to happen. So you want to be prepared for that. There's always going to be that opposite sign rule because in the general equation up above, the general equation has a minus. And so when we came down here and we put in a minus and negative, it became a positive. All right, so just be aware that there's always going to be an opposite sign situation. So let's try another one. Write the equation of a circle with the center at the origin. Oh, okay. Wait, the origin, that means that h, that would be like 0, 0. And so h is 0 and k is 0. So I would have, x minus 0 quantity squared, and then y minus 0 quantity squared. And then that's going to equal my radius squared. Now my radius is the square root 3, so I'm going to have square root of 3 squared. And I'm going to have a little simplifying here. This will simplify to just x squared plus this will simplify to just y squared. And then this is going to simplify to just 3. So there is a simple equation for a circle centered at the origin. All right, write the equation of a circle with the center at 4, 2. All right, so here's my h, and here's my k. And goes through the point 8, -1 on the circle. Uh-oh, what do we not know? Well, it says it goes through this point, but what's the radius? What is the radius? That's the part we don't really know. All right, let's set up our equation with the pieces that we do know. Well, r squared, we don't know that, equals x, I can put in my h and k, so it would be x minus 4 quantity squared plus y, this would be minus 2 quantity squared. All right, so there's an equation that I know. Now, it told us a point that it goes through. So we kind of need to figure out the radius. But here's the nice thing. By giving us a point that it goes through, hasn't it given us an x value and a y value that's on the circle? So I can take these numbers and I can plug them in for x and y. And when I do that, my only variable in the equation is r. So let's try that out. So let's see, the r squared is what I don't know. Now this parenthesis is going to end up being an 8 minus a 4, and then plus, now the y parenthesis is going to be a -1 minus a 2. Okay, so now let's start to evaluate this. So this ends up being 4 squared. The second parenthesis ends up being a -3 squared. So this ends up being a 16 plus a 9. So r squared is 16 plus 9. So r squared is 25. Oh, cool. So r is 5. Boom. All right, now we can go back up to this equation and we can fill in the r. So 25 will be equal to x minus 4 quantity squared plus y minus 2 quantity squared. And so this is our equation. And it is complete because we have the center right here at 4, 2, and we figured out what the radius was. And so in the equation, it's now r squared. So there we go. That is how we work with equations of circles. Now let's try graphing them. So in this case, we would have to give you an equation, and you would have to then find the center and find the radius. So from this is actually telling me that h is -1. Remember, there's that whole opposite sign rule. And so then this is telling me that k is -3. So I know that my center is going to be at -1, -3. All right, so I'm going to plot that point. Over -1, down 1, 2, 3. So there's my center. Now, this right here is equal to the radius squared. So that means my radius is 2. And when you're graphing circles, what I would suggest is from the center, mark a point up 2, mark a point to the left 2, mark a point down 2, and mark a point to the right 2. And then just connect those points as best you can with the circle. And you're done. So then this last problem, you actually have to work backwards from the picture to give us the equation. So for some reason, the center is not marked on this circle, but I do believe, I'm going to draw in these little axes here. All right, I do believe it is right here. And let's see if we can't count some boxes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this point is at over +5, but down 6. So I can go ahead and start writing my equation. I'm going to have an x with a -5. Remember, opposite sign. And then I'll have a y. In this case, it would be +6. Quantity squared. And then it's going to equal the radius squared. Well, I need to go back and check the radius. It looks to me like radius is 4. I'm going to double check it in all the directions. Yep, and it looks like it's 4 in all the directions. So if the radius is 4, then that means I put a 16 right here. And that's the equation of my circle. All right. So, this next problem is going to require a little bit more work with these numbers. And I'm going to fix this for just a second. Let's see if I can get the 6 and the 10 to work out a little bit nicer. Nope, it's not going to let me. There we go. Okay. The diameter of a circle has endpoints, -2, 4, and 6, 10. Write the equation of a circle. Oh boy. All right, so if this is what I have to do, I want you to be thinking about, what do I need? Well, to write the equation of a circle, I need the center. That's the HK thing. And then I also need the radius. Now, we have given you enough information for that. What I would suggest is that you just draw a generic circle. You don't even have to plot points. Draw a generic circle and draw a diameter. And put the information in the context of the picture. So this is -2, 4, and then this point is 6, 10. Okay, obviously I have not plotted those points correctly, but at least I have a context. So I need to find the center first. Well, look right here. How does the center compare to the 2 points that you were given? Maybe it's the midpoint? So let's see. Hopefully we can remember the midpoint formula. So the midpoint is the average of the x's. So -2 plus 6 divided by 2 will give me my new x value. To get my new y value, I'm going to average the y's. So 4 plus 10 divided by 2. So let's see. My midpoint happens at 2, 7. Awesome. I now know what h is, and I know what k is. All right, so now I have to find the radius. Well, the radius would be distance between that midpoint that we just found, so 2, 7, and the other point. So essentially, I need to do a distance formula here. So this was distance between the center and other point. And it doesn't matter which other point. So let's see here. I'm just going to do the points that are positive. So if I am finding the distance between 2, 7 and 6, 10, let's see. Change in x is 4. Change in y is 3. So my distance is the square root of 4 squared plus 3 squared. So the distance is the square root of 16 plus 9. Wow, we've had lots of these. Square root 25. Apparently our favorite radius is a length of 5. I think every problem we've done has had something like that. So now we have all of our pieces. So let's see here. This matters, and this matters, and now we can write our equation. So x minus 2 quantity squared plus y minus 7 quantity squared equals 25. And there we go. That's how we find the equation of a circle if we know the endpoints of a diameter. Okay, so that is what you need to know for 9-8. Your homework is 9-8, but not all of it. There's actually a portion of that worksheet that we're going to skip for now, and that's okay. We can teach that stuff to you next year in Algebra 2. So your job is only to do number 1 through 11. So that should be a nice short assignment for you. All right, so have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you later.